Hello and welcome to High Ticket Selling for Coaches. My name is Joe Beck, founder of The Sales Activist, and I am super excited to be here today with all of you. Look, if you're a coach who helps people move their business forward or helps them improve in an area of their life or just takes that next step for themselves personally, you are in the right place. Who is this live stream for? It's for coaches of all types, coaches that are trying to sell a high ticket product, service, or offering to their clients. And most importantly, for coaches that are truly trying to impact the world in a positive way. So I am excited to be here with you. Before we jump into what I have to share, I am going to introduce myself formally, tell you a little bit about what qualifies me to be sitting here in front of all of you. As I said, my name is Joe Beck, founder of The Sales Activist. I'm a 35-year sales and business development veteran. I have worked with everything from Fortune 50 companies all the way down to solopreneurs. I've worked with a lot of different coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. Across my career, I have generated over hundreds of millions of dollars with companies I've worked with and for. And I've personally coached, trained, and mentored over 3,500 sales professionals and entrepreneurs. And I don't share that with you to impress you. I share that to impress upon you that there is nothing that special about me. I have developed those skills over quite a bit of time in learning every step of the way. And because I have invested in myself and in my own development, I've been able to achieve some very impressive success in the sales arena. Most importantly, for today's call, I have worked with a lot of different coaches in different environments, helping them to create breakout success, particularly around the areas of high ticket selling. So let's dive right in. So you're a coach, and in today's world, there are a lot of coaches out there, and it all depends on specifically what it is that you do, what you offer, and what you're trying to do to help the world around you. But let's take a step back. Let's first off talk a little bit about coaching in general. So as a coach, you may know this, and if you don't, I'm happy to share it with you. You may know that coaching is an admirable profession. Being able to help people take that next step personally, professionally, fill gaps or deficiencies in their own development, help them achieve more is admirable work. And I want to compliment all of you for being in this field. Coaching is so important to people's success. People don't think about it this way, but it's very, very true. Most people that have achieved any type of significant success in life and in business have done so because they've worked with coaches. You only have to look at professional athletes, even the top tier, most elite athletes in their professions. They all work with coaches, whether they work with an organized team coach or whether they have their own coaches or whether they have a team of coaches. They are working with coaches. When you look at the most successful people in business, they work with strategic coaches all the time, professional advisors and people that coach them on certain areas of their business, both, on a detail level, sometimes on a broader scope, but they work with coaches. Now, it's important that you understand that simply because most people, no matter what industry they're in, what they're trying to accomplish, they need coaching. Even when they've achieved amazing results, they always want to continue to improve, and coaching is what fills that void. So I commend all of you for joining us today and being here as a coach. Now, one of the things that many coaches struggle with is selling a high ticket service, product, or offering to their clients. Now, there's a number of reasons for that. And we're going to talk a little bit today about the reasons. We're going to talk about how you overcome the challenges and truly how you create significant momentum and success selling high ticket as a coach. But let's first break down the challenge, right? For most coaches, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in, for most coaches, you face a few challenges in the development of your business. The first is many times, a sense or a feeling of justification for what you may want to charge. Look, if you're a coach who is out there selling your service for $50 an hour or $100 an hour, this probably isn't for you. But if you are somebody who is selling packages in your coaching, packages worth thousands and thousands of dollars, 5,000, 10,000 or more. This is absolutely for you. Okay. Absolutely for you. One of the major challenges or obstacles that coaches face in selling high ticket first is their own personal belief system, their own personal belief system. So if you're a coach and you are out there selling high ticket and you're struggling with it, the first thing that you need to do is ask yourself, do you personally truly believe that you are worth what you are putting out to the world? And are you worth what you are charging people for it? Now, I know the answer to that. Many successful coaches already know the answer to that. More than likely, absolutely, yes, you are. But sometimes coaches hold back their own success, their own momentum, their own growth, because deep down, no matter what they currently may charge, they don't believe that they are worth it. They don't believe that they are worth what they are trying to charge people. Now, that can be its own limiting factor, right? If your belief system isn't aligned with what you're trying to accomplish, it becomes very, very difficult to achieve your goals, particularly in selling. So the first question is, you have to believe it. If you don't believe it, you can't achieve it. You need to believe that you are worth every penny and much, much more compared to what you are currently charging your prospects and your clients. So I encourage you to really do a self-assessment and ask yourself that question. Do you really believe it? Do you find yourself discounting what you offer often to be able to win clients? Or do you find yourself not winning clients at all at the pricing that you're trying to achieve? It might be tied to your own personal belief system that you struggle to believe that it is worth it. So today, we're going to address that factor, and we're going to address a lot of the tools and skill sets that you need to achieve success selling high ticket as a coach. So the first one in tackling your belief system is a basic understanding that I need everybody here to grasp, to make sure that you take to heart and follow every day as you do what you do. You are not selling a product, a service, or an offering. You're not selling a product, service, or an offering. And believe it or not, you are not selling yourself. You're not. What you are selling to the world is the impact that your service, product, or offering will have on your client. You're selling that impact. And that looks a little different for each person, but that is what you need to focus on. You need to focus on the impact, the result, what it is going to do for your client. Now, if your mindset is one where you don't believe currently that you're worth $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in the transformation that you are delivering to your client, then you need to reassess the value of that work. See, sometimes people hold themselves back because they question their own belief in the value. And many times it's tied to, the actual elements of what you're delivering, and you break it down methodically and you look at what you're doing and you're saying, well, I'm doing this and that's this much time, and I'm spending time on that and that's that much time. And then it becomes this math equation where you're figuring out, okay, I've spent X amount of time. I've invested this, I've developed the training protocol, the IP, whatever it is, it's a part of that. This is the total value of what it should be. And here's my markup. Here's what my profit's going to be. And that is how you determine what you charge. Well, I'm going to tell you that can be a very, very limiting process, because you will always find yourself completing an equation to determine what your true worth is as a coach. But what if I was to tell you that number doesn't matter? What if I was to tell you that individual number doesn't matter? It doesn't matter to your prospect, doesn't matter to you. It doesn't matter in the realm of what you're doing. Because if you focus on selling the transformation that you create in your clients through the work that you do, whatever that work is, if you focus on the transformation and make that transformation priceless to your prospect and client, your pricing doesn't matter as much. The cost of your service doesn't matter as much, nor does selling yourself matter as much. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but believe it or not, people don't engage you and hire you because of you. Now, in part, they do, but the reality is they engage you and hire you because of the transformation that they believe you can deliver them. So selling your product, your service, your offering, or even yourself is secondary to the impact and the transformation that you sell. And this is critical for you to grasp, because if you want to sell high ticket and sell it on a very, very high level, if you want somebody to spend tens of thousands of dollars with you, for a couple of hours or a day or a week or whatever it is you want to break it down by, you need to grasp that it's not about you or your offering. It is all about the transformation. That transformation, the deliverable, the product itself becomes secondary to what that transformation means to that prospect. If you are solving a significant life problem for your client or a significant business problem for your client, and that problem is priceless to them, do you really think what you charge means that much? Now, of course, it needs to be something that they can actually afford or figure out how to pay for, but it doesn't matter as far as the price point. Now, many coaches struggle selling high ticket because they lack the belief in the transformation that they deliver. They lack the belief in the transformation that they deliver. So if you don't believe that you can transform somebody's life or business or situation that you are coaching them on, I encourage you to take a step back and find that belief system. If you're struggling to find it and to believe in yourself that way, or you're struggling to feel confident that you can, reach out to me. I would love to talk with you about it, because I promise you, you can. I promise you it's worth it. I promise you that you can deliver that transformation. As long as you're putting in the work and you are good at what you do, it's worth it. Don't let your mindset hold you back from selling high ticket. Now, I know this to be a fact because I used to struggle with that. When I first got into coaching years ago, I had a client who wanted to give me $5,000 to spend a day with them, coaching them on a few particular things. It was them and two people on their team, and they wanted to give me $5,000 for the day just to come to their office and work on just a few things with them and make sure that they had it ironed out that day so they could move forward. And I struggled with the belief that it was worth that $5,000. And it wasn't because I wasn't delivering something that was impactful. It was because I didn't believe in its own value. So don't let mindset hold you back. Okay. Now we're going to move on from mindset. Keep this in mind. If your mindset isn't in check, that you are worth every dollar that you are charging, you need to work on that. Put that down on your list. Write it down. Mindset. Need to work on it. I need to believe that I'm worth every single penny and more of what I charge. If you aren't believing that today, I want to talk with you so I can help you through that. Okay. It'd be a pleasure to talk with you about it. The next piece, when it comes to the transformation, when it comes to the value, okay, it's this difference between value and impact. Value and impact. Now, I talk about this a lot in my brand, The Sales Activist. I teach and coach on this subject. I have courses on this subject, but a lot of people hold back their success because they sell on value, Now, I know that might seem like that's not true, because value is how most people sell, but the reality is elite sales professionals don't. See, people that are elite at what they do, they're very, very best at what they do. Value is not what they sell off of. Transformation is what they sell. Impact is what they sell. And I'll just give you a simple example. Most people, when they're selling, sell off of value, and value usually has a direct correlating exchange for what somebody pays for that service, product, or offering. If somebody writes a check for $10,000, that person who's selling it needs to know that they're getting at least $10,000 or more in value, and that prospect needs to be confident that that value is worth it. It's enough.
Does it 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x? Is it enough for what I'm paying? That is a very logical thought process. A logical thought process. I spend $10,000, I get back $30,000 in value. Very logical, very straightforward, almost linear in how people view it. And a lot of people sell that way. A lot of coaches sell that way. You buy our program for X and we give you X times 2 times 3. But it's not just about that value component, because most people, when they're in that situation selling on value, especially coaches, struggle with the understanding that their sale, the likelihood for it sticking and the likelihood of you upselling and moving up market is very, very limited if you only sell on value. And here's why. 80% of the people that are out there selling, maybe even more, sell on value. Just what I described. You pay X, you get X times a factor. And the reason why that is limiting to a coach, that especially a coach who wants to sell high ticket and beyond, is you sound like everybody else when you sell that way. You sound like every single person that's out there. In fact, studies have shown, and some of the top salespeople in the world acknowledge, that many times people struggle in sales because they aren't memorable in the eyes of their prospect. So you're a coach and you're coaching on a variety of different things. People watching this or catching the recording are going to, be in all kinds of different industries. Now, are you the only person in the world that provides those services? More than likely, of course not. More than likely, there's a lot of other people that are doing some of the things or similar things to what you're offering. So you need to stand out. You need to be different to sell high ticket as a coach. And if you sound like every other coach out there, the 80% plus of people that sell on value, it becomes very, very hard to move up market and sell higher ticket. But what makes that process a lot easier is by selling using impact, by standing out, by being different, by creating differentiation. Now, differentiation can be created a lot of different ways as a coach. Your credibility as a coach, your background, your experience, your testimonials, clients that will speak on your behalf. All of these things add to your credibility and create differentiation. But let me tell you this. If you take all of that and put it together and you get in front of your ideal prospect or client, and you sound like everybody else that's out there, and you do all the same things that everybody else does, you will not succeed at a very high level. You will succeed at an average level like everybody else. You won't become elite. And I don't care what you coach on. I don't care your specialty. It doesn't matter, because you will become homogenized. You will sound like everybody else out there, and there will not be a reason for them to pay a premium when everybody else that's out there is offering the same. And the reason is there's a lot of other people that are out there that probably are willing to make the mistake of selling at a lower price. And what I'm going to talk about today, if you want to sell high ticket as a coach, is being on the opposite side of that equation. The fact that you're willing and able and can justify asking for more for your service. And how do we go about doing that? How do we as coaches create that degree of separation from the ones that are all the way on the opposite end of the spectrum, the average or below average, all the way up to elite? How do we get to the elite category? Well, let's talk about that. Now, I'm not going to talk about that as it relates to some of the component pieces that anybody else can talk to you about. Yes, you need to have social proof. Yes, you need to have happy clients that are out there, that can rave about what you do. Yes, you need to be professional and polished and sharp at what you do. Those are all givens. What I'm talking about are the realities of when you are client facing, whether you're on the phone with them, on a Zoom call with them, or in person. When you are client facing, how do you sound different than the average performers out there? And here's how you do it. It's all about impact. It's all about impact. And impact is what is wrapped around that transformation that we talked about. If you spend the majority of your time selling as a coach, talking about the impact that what you offer will have on your prospects as they become clients, if you talk about impact and the transformation, you are automatically separating yourself from the vast majority of people that are out there. So the average person will sell on this idea that I'm going to list all the things that they get, all the things that are included. Here's what you get. You get this, you get that. Here's this offering. You get access to this. You get to be part of my VIP program. You get my inner circle. However you define it, you list all of the items, okay? It's like a menu. The problem is menus all look alike over time, don't they? They do. But what people remember is how amazing the meal tasted and how it completely changed how they thought of things. Well, that's what you need to get to as a coach. If you want to sell high ticket, you need to put yourself in that position that you're talking about impact, the transformation. And let's get into how you do that so you can crush your goals and truly sell at a high ticket level as a coach. You do that this way by spending the vast majority of your time talking about your prospect and what their perfect outcome, desired goal, or end result looks like. And more importantly, what it means to them. If you're a business coach and you coach people on generating additional profitability, you aren't just going to talk about what percentage profit increase you get to them or deliver for them. You're going to talk about what that means to them in their life. What will that do for their personal life, their business life, their employees, their stability, their legacy? You're going to talk about all of it, and you're going to get them to share the details with you as to the meeting, because that's where transformation lives. It puts them into an emotional state about the outcome. They start to hear it themselves and think about it and absorb it. And there you are as the deliverable that makes it happen. You're the component piece that creates that transformation as a coach. But if you don't highlight that and talk about that and expose that and walk them through that journey, you sound like everybody else. And let's talk about the most important reason why that differentiation is critical to your success. See, most people want to work with somebody, obviously, you've all heard this, that they know, like, and trust. That they know, like, and trust. And that can occur very quickly. People can create that know, like, and trust factor very, very quickly in today's day and age. And the reason is technology. People, they're probably already connected to you on social media. They could be following you. They could be seeing content you share. They could have read a book you've produced or some other type of content that you put in front of them. So they know you a little bit. They like you genuinely. Like they're attracted to you from a liking standpoint. They get you. They can relate to you. These are all factors. And then we get to trust. How will they be comfortable pulling the trigger? They have to trust you. But how is trust truly earned? Well, it's not based upon the number of testimonials that you have and, this great background or experience that you have. It's true, those are factors, but that's not really what makes people trust people. What really makes people trust you is for you to build a real, genuine connection and bond with them. A real, genuine connection and bond. Now, how do you go about doing that? Well, that's where elite sales professionals and coaches perform at a whole different level. When they spend that time discussing everything that something means to their prospect, the impact that it has, they are building and solidifying that bond. And they're stepping into a classification that puts them in a place where they are going to win that business. And that status is this: they're becoming that person's trusted advisor. Their trusted advisor. It's the inner circle. It's the place where only the most trusted people arrive and stay. When you become that trusted advisor to your prospects as a coach, you now are inside that circle of trust. You are in the place that you need to be to be able to get people comfortable with working with you. Why do people work with elite performers at any level in any industry? It's because they look at that success and they want to replicate that success or have that success or benefit from it, but they trust that person because of the track record. So that's easy for a Warren Buffett as a financial person or a Tony Robbins as a personal development person. That's easy for them to get across to somebody, right? They're known. But what if you're a coach that people don't know? What if you're somebody who doesn't stand out that way? How do you sell high ticket at that point? By becoming their trusted advisor. And where does it occur? It occurs in that interaction. It occurs when you're connecting with people, when you're discussing what means the most to them and the impact that it has on themselves. Now, here's the most important piece to that. It's not about you telling them what transformation they need. And it's not about you telling them how they should feel, what they should look like, what they should accomplish, what they should have, what they should spend, what they should deliver. It's not about you telling them. It's about you getting them to open up and tell you. See, when people start to think about things, the things they're thinking about take shape in a certain piece of their conscious reality, a certain percentage of it. But when they start to verbalize those thoughts and talk about what's important to them and talk about what impact they want to have, what they want to deliver, how they want to feel, the transformation starts to become real for them. It truly does. And if that transformation, and this is how it ties to high ticket, if that transformation is priceless to them, if you're a health coach and you're trying to get somebody to save their life by fixing their health, that transformation is priceless. If you are a business coach that turns around struggling entrepreneurs and businesses, that transformation could be priceless to them. All of these things, if that is priceless to them, do you really think that what you charge matters? And I'll tell you why it doesn't. Because the average person, I said it a few minutes ago, the average person is never going to build that same type of bond. They're never going to build that type of trusted advisor status with the people that they work with. One of my clients gave me a great definition of this a number of years ago. He said, that status for me, like when somebody is my trusted advisor, it's when I would go to them and ask their input on things in anywhere near to the category of their expertise before I would ever make a decision. And that's how they defined a trusted advisor. Wouldn't you love to be defined that way as your clients, your clients view you that way? Wouldn't you love for them to say, I won't make a decision about these things until I speak to my coach, until I speak to my coach on this particular topic? See, that's a trusted advisor. That's somebody that weighs in, that person takes a lot of stock and value in what they share. So when you're selling high ticket, you need to have the belief system that you are worth every penny. And you need to move your prospects to the place in that process where you are talking about the transformation. Now, I know for some people, especially people in today's day and age, getting that close to their prospects and digging that deep is not easy. I mean, let's face it, we live in a world, in a society where technology has made many, many things easier. It makes it easier for us to find things. It makes it easier for us to gather information and educate ourselves. It makes it easier for us to be able to present things to people in a way that we want to present them. But those advantages do not build significant trust and rapport. They don't build that trusted advisor status. They're building blocks. But to take it over the top, it comes from really getting to know your prospects and understanding their transformation. Now, Why is that process so important to your success, especially if you want to sell high ticket? Let me give you a very simple comparison as to why it's critical. So many times as a coach, you have a list of things that you can do, things that you offer, right? And there might be an attributable price point to each one of those categories, or it might be in a package. It doesn't really matter for this example. But let's say there are 5 things on that list, 5 things on the list of things that you offer in your package. And normally, the way you position and describe this package is you go 1 through 5 in the order of things that you think are most critical, and you highlight for them what they get in the package. And let's say you don't discuss the transformation that your prospect really wants and needs most, and you start going down your offering for them. See, there's a very high likelihood that because you are talking more about yourself and your offering, that you never hear what's most important to your prospect. Now, why is that a big mistake in selling high ticket? Because many times your prospects will tell you what's most important to them and the transformation that they need to have occur. Maybe they need it. Maybe they want it. Maybe they just desire it. Maybe it's their wildest dream, but they want to share it with you because they believe you might be somebody that can help them get there. Well, if you spend your time talking about how amazing your offering is, your product, the deliverables, your package, everything that you have in it, and not understanding as best as you can what transformation they really want to have, you might miss that opportunity. And I know this to be a fact because just earlier this week, I had a conversation with a coach. It was on Monday. Great conversation. They're talking about a prospect that they lost. And I asked them to break down the call with me, walk me through the call so I understand exactly what happened, the way it went down, everything, and the way it unfolded. And as it turned out, they spent probably 70 or 80% of the time on that call talking about their product and what was in their coaching package. And at the end of our conversation, I said to them, what were the 3 most important objectives that your prospect had? What transformation were they trying to accomplish? And they could only mention one thing, and really only at a basic level. They didn't spend enough time in understanding truly what their prospect was trying to have, what their prospect needed by way of transformation. See, when you're a coach and you want to sell high ticket, you can take your product, your service, your offering, your package, and put it on the back burner because it'll be the last thing that you talk about. I know for some of you that might be shocking, right? For some of you that might be, how is that going to work, right? Well, I'll tell you why. If they don't understand the transformation that you could deliver to them, and they don't believe in their heart of hearts that you're the person to deliver it, that they don't look at you as a trusted advisor, the specifics of what you offer, the package, the details, the price, none of that matters. It just doesn't. So I'm going to give you another example of the power of this because this goes a lot towards selling high ticket as well. I was on a call with a coach 2 weeks ago. And I remember this because it was on a Friday. It was a great conversation. And the end result of that conversation was a successful win. Like he signed a new client and we did a debrief walking through this together. And we talked about how he positioned everything. And he did a masterful job of positioning the transformation that this prospect was looking for in their business. And it was significant. It was so significant that this person was able to identify better than $500,000 worth of attributable value in that transformation. It was on the table. It was discussed. It was real. It was right there in the conversation. And at the end of it, they were successfully able to win this client. And it was, I believe, a $7,500 package that they sold. And I commended them. I congratulated them on the sale. And I said, so let me ask you this question. And I'm just playing devil's advocate. I want to make sure that you think this through. Was your prospect in a position that they know, liked, and trusted you? Absolutely, they did. Do you feel that you positioned your place as their trusted advisor in the way you handled the conversation? Yes. How much time did they spend talking about the transformation that they were looking for? And he said it was the majority of the call. I only spent like 10 minutes talking about my offering. I said, that's great. That's amazing. And then I said the question that it temporarily sucked the air out of the conversation, but he got the point really quick. And I said to him, what type of buying power do you think that prospect has? And he said, probably significant. Budget wasn't an issue. And I said to him, so do you believe that same package that you sold him for $7,500, do you believe if you had said to him at that point of that conversation that package was $25,000, do you think that client would buy? And he stopped for a second, and I said to him as he paused, be honest. And he said, yes. He said, yes, I do. And I said, that's the power of positioning this way. If you're going to sell high ticket as a coach, if you're going to transform people's lives, their business, whatever it is that you're working through with them, if you're going to transform them and impact them in a way that is so significant, price should not be a factor. It really shouldn't. I've worked with clients that wanted that transformation, that they went out and found the money. I worked with others that had the money and gladly spent it. And I've also seen people work with clients that had the budget but wouldn't pay simply because they didn't see enough transformation in the description. So if you want to sell high ticket as a coach, and I'm speaking to you right now, if you're selling a $3,500 package and you want to sell a $35,000 package, you need to master that skill set I just described. And it doesn't matter how amazing your landing page is, your VSL is, your webinar is, your meeting is. If you don't master that skill set, moving up market and selling higher ticket makes it very, very challenging. How do you think Tony Robbins sells six-figure packages to people? It's all about transformation. It's all about transformation. If you want to sell high ticket as a coach, master the ability of them describing the transformation that they need, and then match up your product, your service, your offering with delivering on that objective. Delivering on that objective. See, this process of selling high ticket is not complicated. It isn't. But it requires diligence. It requires a focus on the most important pieces. Positioning yourself as a trusted advisor and getting that prospect to truly describe transformation is the key. When you were able to do that, it's simply a matter of delivering on the belief that you can make it happen for them. Now, let's talk about that as the next step in the process, right? Because I know somebody sitting here watching this or listening to it saying, you know, I wouldn't have a problem asking for that $25,000 check, but I'm concerned that they may not believe that it's worth it. Maybe they don't feel that that trust is there. And here is what you're going to realize. The more you describe the transformation and the more you get them to talk about the transformation, the easier it is to close a higher ticket sale. The easier. Why is that? Because your prospect wants that transformation more. I mean, let's face it. If you get them to verbalize it and describe it and explain exactly how this would impact their life, their family, their finances, their business, their employees, whatever it is that you're helping them improve. If you are able to get them to verbalize that and share it, that information is now in their conscious reality. They are thinking about it. It's top of mind. It's an emotional process. They want to see it turn into reality. They want to see it happen. Now, this goes back to something I said earlier, but it's so true. If you sound like everybody else, if you don't describe the transformation, do you really think that that person is going to work with that person over there? Or are they going to work with the person that helped them realize how important all those things were? Because they talked with them about it. They walked them through that journey. They became that trusted advisor. See, people that are elite at selling, whether you're a coach or not, they understand that that's where the majority of the work is done. It's not in the description of the product, the service, the offering. It's not in the pricing. It's not in the close. I love that when people say to me, well, what closing technique do you use? Right? There's thousands of different closing techniques. None of them are as effective as helping that prospect realize how badly they want the transformation that you're offering. But that's not about you, and it's not about what closing technique you use as a coach. Believe me, it's about them describing it and then you doing the one thing that you need to do when they're describing it. And that's listening to understand. Listening to understand. See, some people, and if this is you, I'm sorry, but this is a reality. Some people listen and take note of things in an interaction, in a conversation, whether it's in person, virtually, whatever it is. They listen to hear and they absorb it, but they don't understand it. Now, why is that factor important? Here's why. When you listen to understand, really understand what your prospect is saying to you, you have a distinct advantage in that situation because you know what is most important to them. If you only listen to hear and take note of what they've said, you have a jumbled list of things with varying degrees of importance. You don't really know what's most important. You may think you do, but I will tell you, you don't. So what you need to do is you need to work towards figuring out how to listen to understand. To sell high ticket as a coach, master listening to understand. Now, this whole process is really, really important, especially when you're a coach who may struggle a little bit with confidence, or a little bit because maybe you're a natural introvert or you're not as outspoken as some people might be. I did a podcast on this a little while ago talking about selling as an introvert. And I will tell you, introverts, whether you knew this or not, have a superpower. You do. As an introvert, I'm naturally, believe it or not, an introvert. I prefer to take things internally and just like absorb them and not be as outspoken. Now, I have no problem at all being extroverted at time, but my comfort zone is being an introvert. And what I know about introverts are, if they can figure out a way to get the other person to talk, they're going to do it. They're going to do it, right? And if this is you, you know what I'm talking about. It's your superpower. You engage somebody and you're a little nervous, a little anxious, a little uncomfortable. What's the best thing in the world that could happen? They start talking. You love that. Well, this approach when selling high ticket as a coach, if you're an introvert, it's masterful because you get to rely on them doing the heavy lifting. They will share with you what's most important. All you need to do is kind of keep the fire stoked. Ask a supporting question, a follow-up question. Ask them to clarify. You do a small bit of the work, but the heavy lifting is done by them. Now, why is that important? Because if you're a coach and you feel you are introverted and you question whether or not you could sell high ticket because of that, absolutely you can. You have a superpower. I want to talk to you about how you leverage that superpower. You could be one of Marvel's Avengers in high ticket sales if you understand how to leverage this. Reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you about it. Because if you get people to talk about what's most important to them, what impacts them by listening to understand, it is absolutely much easier to sell high ticket because they will tell you what's most important. Now, how this all turns into sales is the next piece that I want to talk about. And it's the final piece of this live stream today. It's understanding how to close a high ticket sale, especially as a coach. And I want to break it down this way. For a lot of people, they think closing is about having this just super secret special closing technique or line or statement or whatever that they share. And it's not about that. There are a lot of different ways of closing a sale. But the most effective and efficient one that you're going to deploy is always the one that most genuinely connects to your prospect, the one that just aligns with them where they are. And I'm going to share one with you today that I've used to generate hundreds of millions of dollars of transactions because I didn't overthink it. I focused on what was most important and utilized it at the right time. See, selling is all about uncovering that true impact and asking your prospect or client if you can deliver on that for them. And it might sound something like this, Mr. Customer, I'm so happy and appreciative that you shared with me everything that you just shared with me about the importance of fixing these things in your business. If I heard you correctly, you had said, not only is this important to your current financial stability, but it allows you to continue to employ employees in the city that you're in, keep the company stable, maintain the legacy of the family ownership of this business, and really prepare the next generation for taking over the company. In a lot of ways, there's a lot riding on all of this for you and your employees. I heard you loud and clear. I could sense the emotion in what you described. I have one question for you, and it goes to what you shared with me and what I know I can do. And the question is this: would you let me help you make that happen? Would you let me help you make that happen? Or would you let me help you turn that into reality? See, one of the most powerful things that you can ask somebody after you put them in an emotional state about some type of transformation that they're looking to create in their life is the offering of help. It's one of the most powerful things that you can do. Would you let me help you do it? Would you let me help you accomplish it? Would you let me help you create that transformation? Now, why is it the most powerful thing? It's not just that you're there offering it. It's that you're the person that brought all of this to the surface and made them talk about it. You're the person that engaged them about it. You're the person that asked qualifying questions and clarifying questions and truly uncovered all of the emotion around that topic. Not the countless other people that they may have talked to about it. You, because you're a coach and you did it the right way, and you get them to talk about this transformation. And while they are talking with you about it, you are connected to them in a way that nobody else is connected before. Okay? You're like this. You're like that. You're connected. The power behind asking if you can help them at that point is massive, because you've earned that right as their trusted advisor, because you brought them to that place. You've earned that right to ask that question. In fact, I will tell you this: you're doing them a disservice if you don't ask that question, if you don't offer to help them. And it doesn't matter whether you charge $10,000 or $110,000 to that prospect. If you don't ask the question about helping them create that transformation, you are doing them a disservice, because you brought them to the place where this is important to them. It's on the surface. It's now part of their reality. So if you want to close high ticket as a coach, it doesn't matter what your offering is. It doesn't matter what your price points are, although your price points need to be significant enough for people to believe in the transformation. I'm going to talk about this right now for a quick second. Many times people don't believe the transformation is possible because the price they're being quoted, it doesn't make sense that that transformation is possible with such a little investment. I can't believe that I'm going to generate $500,000 of additional value by only spending $7,500. Many times people will believe that. They will think it doesn't deliver. It doesn't deliver. It can't be that much. Like, how could they do all of that for that little bit? They don't believe, not in the transformation being possible. They don't believe that it's possible because of the price. That's all the more reason that your pricing should be higher. It should be more in alignment with the transformation that you deliver. See, many times people will ask me, well, am I charging enough, or am I charging too much? And the answer is always the same. Yes. Yes. Because if you're asking the question, am I charging enough? More than likely, you don't believe it's worth more than what you're currently offering it at. If you're charging way more than what it should be, the answer is yes, you should charge more. Why? Because if you can justify it in the delivery of their transformation, whatever you charge is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Okay? It doesn't matter. If you're, if you're desperately ill and you need a life-saving surgery to save your life, are you going to look for the cheapest option? Or are you going to get the option that you believe is going to take care of the problem and get you the help you need? Well, why would your client feel any different? So don't get held up on thinking that the pricing matters. What matters is how well you describe the transformation with them, how well that conversation goes. Now, in over 35 years, after tens of thousands of live sales interactions and hundreds of millions of transactions, I've mastered the art of discussing that transformation and putting people in a place where they're ready to make it happen. And I would love to help you with that as a coach. In fact, I'm developing several new things for coaches that you need to hear about that can change the way you sell. But right now, I want you to understand that to sell high ticket as a coach, no matter what your offering is, you only need to overcome a few specific challenges. Your mindset needs to be in alignment. You need to sell the transformation and not just the value. And this is where a lot of people get caught in the trap. And that's where pricing comes in and how they feel about it and all these other things. If you master the transformation, I promise you, you will never question the price being an issue. You'll never go back. You'll only go up. Because what will happen is you'll start talking to people that instead of $100,000 problems, they're $500,000 problems. Instead of $500,000 life transformations, they're $1 million life transformations. For some people on this call listening to this, it's not even about the dollars and cents. It's about life and death. It's about something else that doesn't have an attributable dollar amount. How do you put a price tag on priceless? You can't. But for somebody to believe that it's worth whatever you charge, you have to make priceless so important to them that they can't imagine not having it. They can't imagine. They're going to move whatever they have to move to make it happen. Now, as coaches, the number one thing that we need to remember in all that we do is our mission, our goal is to help the people that we serve. It's not about us. It's all about them. And the greatest way that you can serve people is to help them maximize the transformation that they are looking to accomplish. But you can't get that chance if you don't position it the right way. So here's my offer for everybody that's watching this. I've opened up some time slots in my calendar over the next week to talk about transforming things for your clients. And I'm offering a free strategy call with any coach that's trying to sell high ticket, but struggling in the process, because I want to see you break through. I want to see you be successful. I want to continue to see you be a blessing to the people that you serve. And to do that, you need to be successful. To do that, you need to sell high ticket. And I want to be a resource for you in that way. So you could connect with me to schedule this strategy call by simply texting the word sales to the number 409-509-7355. It will connect you with my digital assistant. My digital assistant will get you set up into my calendar to be able to talk with you about these things. Here is all that I ask. I want you as a coach to be elite at what you offer. You need to be good at what you do. You need to deliver that transformation. We can work on the rest. We can talk about the sales, the positioning, how you get them to discuss the transformation. The only thing that you need to bring to that process is you need to be so good at what you do as a coach that I know that you're going to be delivering it and helping a lot of people. It would be my pleasure and honor to be able to help you make that happen with more and more clients by selling high ticket. Now, we've covered a lot of information today, and if you missed part of this live stream, I encourage you to go back and watch the recording again. You can see it here on our social media. You can see it on the Sales Activist YouTube channel and other places on social media. And just know this, selling high ticket as a coach is one of the most admirable things that you can do to help people at a higher level. If you need some help in doing it, I would love to help. Just reach out to me by texting the word sales to 409-509-7355. I would love to talk with you about it and discuss high ticket sales for you as a coach and helping you take that next step. So this has been a lot of fun today. I've really enjoyed this. This whole live stream came up as a result of several people reaching out to me after last week's live stream for entrepreneurs, asking me to discuss specifics around coaches. And I was happy to do it. So if I could be a resource to you in any other way or help support your sales efforts, please let me know. This has been High Ticket Selling for Coaches. My name is Joe Beck, founder of The Sales Activist, and we'll see you soon. Take care.